Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're gonna be taking a minute and the opportunity of Hildryn Prime being released to refresh the build for all Hildy. Now, this will be my Blazing Coal setup that I already showcased in the 2023 build update, but in case you're not familiar with that, essentially the build plays as follows. We're gonna activate our free ability, that's our Haven, and when we are in range of enemies, we're gonna be using her best ability, Pillage. As you can see, the enemies already have their armor stripped away, or most of them. Depending on how much power strength you build on Hildy, you can fully remove the enemy's armor with a single cast. If not, you're just gonna be casting it multiple times. From my point of view, it's not really worth to fully build power strength on Hildryn because you're gonna be spamming your 2 ability anyway because that's what keeps you alive. If you don't know what Pillage does, essentially it goes out, it's a pulse, it's gonna be removing enemies' defenses and giving you a whole bunch of defenses including shields, overshield. Not only that, it also clears status effects from you and your allies. Now this is a Steel Path survival mission. I believe this is the best place to showcase this build. We're not gonna stop at Blazing Pillage, however, because this is a key point to the build, but another key point is using Gauss's ability, that is Thermal Sunder. And you just saw how I applied a whole lot of crowd control to my targets. Need more crowd control? Apply Gauss's Thermal Sunder one more time. Now here's the thing. Obviously you're gonna be needing a whole lot of range with the build, but cast speed is also instrumental to the build if you care about how fast your pulse goes out. See how fast that is? I'm not using any casting speed mods, but I am using casting speed shards, the orange ones. They don't need to be Tau Forge or anything of the sort, but a couple will help you greatly, and I just love that crowd control. That is absolutely balls to the walls, amazing. I don't even need to use my weapon per se, at least not at this low level. Survivability is a non-issue for Hildy, just remember to spam your 2 ability from time to time. Take a look at your shields, your overshields, make sure you're always topped up. Because essentially you're just gonna be running through a mission and spamming your Pillage, which will be applying heat damage to your targets. I'm talking about a heat proc, the same thing that Gauss's ability Thermal Sunder can do, but Gauss's ability is gonna be a whole lot more expensive, so my recommendation to you, as before, make sure to use your Pillage to actually apply heat procs. Now there's a whole lot of effects on the screen because I have everything set to absolute maximum. As you saw there, survivability is a non-issue for the build. You apply crowd control with Gauss's and you respam it again if you want to freeze your targets. It's pretty easy, it's a non-issue. And of course you can also go up into the air. We retained our 4th ability. Now you can put Thermal Sunder on your 4, but the problem is if you go into ESO and you spam your 4 a couple of times, then Simaris will block that ability. It's about the location of said ability, which is why we're going to be using Thermal Sunder instead of Balefire Charger or Balefire Rocket. It's not a bad exalted weapon, but honestly you're not really going to use it. Now of course you can wait for the damage over time to kill your targets, or you can apply a whole lot of crowd control, grab them together like that, or kill them off with an AoE weapon. It's pretty simple, especially considering that the enemies had their defenses stripped by your Pillage. And this is how the build plays. She also helps a lot with allies because of her free and because of her 2. Again, remember that clearing of status effects at times it's absolutely vital, but you need to be quick on your feet with it. Hildy is a bit of a tank support in my book. She's absolutely phenomenal, and the addition of the Prime only solidifies her place in the meta. Now when it comes to actual damage per se, granted she doesn't deal the most amount of damage because she is not a damage frame, but as you can see you have no problem in dealing AoE damage, clearing Steel Path, and essentially casually walking through enemies without any issue whatsoever. So this is pretty much how the build plays. You can stay for a long time here. Enemy defenses removed, yes, then basically any weapon fire are gonna be essentially destroying them. You can go for something like a Toncore, Arca Plasmor, whatever fits your fancy, because the truth is, when the enemy's defenses have been stripped, they're gonna be dying very easily. Of course, in terms of survivability, the Grenier are the hardest to kill, but the Corpus deal the most amount of damage, so do bear that one in mind. We're gonna be keeping everything to a very low Forma count just to make sure you actually enjoy the Warframe before investing a whole lot. So Forma count sits at only 1. You're gonna need 4 or 5 Forma for this specific build if you're gonna be going for the regular Hildryn, but thankfully the Prime variant already has the quote-unquote right polarities by default. Corrosive projection is not needed here per se, especially considering how Pillage works and the fact that we will be stripping that armor using it. You can go for whatever aura you want. Prime Sure-Footed is not a mandatory mod unless you want to stay for a really long time. If you're getting knocked down and facing enemies in the thousands, then you might be shredded to pieces, which is why Prime Sure-Footed is here. Again, for normal, average, everyday content, if you're not bothered when you get knocked down and can't do anything about it, you can skip Prime sure-footed. And if you skip this one, you're going to 0 Forma, which is absolutely fantastic. Redirection, shields for Hildryn. I believe this one is self-explained. Adaptation is here, or rolling guard. Yes, I know it's a cheap way to make a Warframe survive, and I don't think Hildy really needs it, but if you're going up against 6,000, 7,000 level corpus and upwards, then I would switch out adaptation for rolling guard. The choice is yours. For normal level content up until level 100-ish, 150, you can even skip adaptation altogether. Range is extremely important on this build because of Thermal Sunder, and because of Pillage, and because of Haven, and even because of Aegis Storm. So as much range as you can, but not overextended because it will work against us. We're going with Stretch and Augur Reach. Streamline for a bit of efficiency, definitely. Blazing Pillage is the heart of the build. You need to have this mod, it's not negotiable. And Prime Continuity, you can go for Archon Continuity if you don't have the Prime variant. We're using the Prime variant simply because it drains less than the Archon version, and the Archon version will not work because our abilities do not deal toxic status effect that will apply corrosive status effect. Yes, so because Prime Continuity drains less and offers the same 55%, go with the Prime variant. And of course, Blind Rage, ability strength at the cost of efficiency, a lot of efficiency minus, which is not ideal, but Streamline offsets 30% of that 55. When it comes to arcanes, best in slots, barrier, and Aegis. It's as simple as that. You can skip one of them to go for something like a weapon arcane if you so desire, whichever is more comfortable to you. And that's pretty much the build. The last thing which I want to point out, you go over to the Helminth system and you replace, like we said before, you put in Thermal Sunder instead of her first ability, Balefire Rocket Launcher or Balefire Rockets. You can forgo your 4 ability, but if you forgo your 4 ability, then you're gonna have to be careful when it comes to Elite Sanctuary Onslaught. If the build is not used there, then you can keep your Balefire Rockets. As for Archon Shards, I'm gonna be using free 4 casting speed, Tau Forge or otherwise. The more casting speed you have, the more your pillage works better because it goes out faster, it comes back faster, it's less annoying to use. Without this casting speed, it's a bit on the slow side. And a couple of blue ones because shield capacity on Hildryn is a no-brainer. If you want to go even harder with power strength, then you're gonna be using all the red shards. If you got something like 3 or 4 or 5 even Crimson Archon shards, the Tau Forge variant, and you put them on Hildy, you're gonna be able to remove the armor from enemies in a single cast. Again, I don't want to force power strength on the build because you're gonna keep on spamming your pillage anyway for survivability reasons later on. But there is something to be said in removing the enemy's armor with a single cast because that is powerful as well. The choice is up to you. I went for the casting speed because I'm gonna be spamming it anyway, which also increases my survivability. Keep in mind, casting speed does help with survivability, especially on a Warframe such as Hildy. And I do believe, my friends, that's pretty much it. The only thing that I didn't mention is the Panzerwolf for the viral procs, but I believe at this point that one is self-explained. And that's gonna do it for now. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, let me know in the comment section down below. And did you like my Arca Plasmor, my Tenant Arca Plasmor? It's an absolutely fantastic weapon. Link in the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on that. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!